are these people?
Trump had an interview on Fox News, as he always does. And he was asked specifically on the Russia and Ukraine question, right? Now, this is a man who was funding the Ukrainians, giving them Javelin missiles for years. This is his response. Or rather, she asked the question on the basis of what he had made a statement previously, where he said he can end the war in 24 hours. How would you do that?
You said you could end the war in Ukraine in 24 hours.
Yes, I could.
How would you do that?
I know Zelenskyy very well. I felt he was very honorable because when they asked him about the perfect phone call that I made, he said it was indeed perfect. He said it was, he didn't even know what they were talking about.
Can you imagine, get this phone call real quick?
A perfect
perfectly
phone call
real
with
phone call.
Zelenskyy.
That was perfect. It was the perfect phone call. Zelenskyy called me up. He's like, Trump, I cannot believe that phone call. It was literally perfect. There was no mistakes whatsoever. Perfect. No stumbles, no no okays, no whatever. You
no
were
likes,
perfect. That was the best phone call I ever heard. Or like maybe he would say it in his like Ukraine voice, like.
I mean, that's just like his hyperbolic kind of thing, where everything, like, you notice how Trump always speaks in superlatives.
You know, everything is the best,
the greatest, the most magnificent.
Like every time he answers a question, he has to talk himself up first. He has to be like, "Well, as you know, I made the perfect phone call. I was perfect on. I'm very good friends with Putin. I'm very good friends with."
Yeah, exactly.
So
just so.
Let's see what he would do. What he would do. This is how he's going to end the Ukraine war.
He could have grandstanded. Oh, I felt threatened.
Well, that's not going to be enough for Putin to stop bombing Ukraine.
No. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that I know Zelenskyy very well, and I know Putin very well, even better.
Even better. That's going to trigger the Russiagate list so bad. Just that statement alone.
That one say, why are you so close?
I'm good friends with Zelenskyy. I'm also good friends with Putin. Even more good friends with Putin. I love Putin, by the way. I suck his balls every night. Let's listen to that again.
What I'm saying is that I know Zelenskyy very well, and I know Putin very well, even better. Well. And I had a good relationship, very good, with both of them. I would tell Zelenskyy, no more. You got to make a deal. I would tell Putin, if you don't make a deal, we're going to give him a lot. We're going to give more than they ever got if we have to.
You said you could.
He's going to give them more than they ever got.
So that's
his response.
That's no different. That's no different than what's going on right now.
Putin is not down with the negotiations. He's just going to send all the weapons that.
But that's already happening.
Let's be honest, guys. No, he's going to go back. We already saw it. He picked the motherfucking Mike Pence as his vice president. And we saw him get embarrassed this past weekend. And everyone's talking about that too, about how he got absolutely fucking destroyed by Tucker Carlson.
Carlson, yeah. And
not my concern, Pence. So, at the end of the day, I feel like this guy,
if he's saying that's his plan to get help and end the Ukraine war, that's what's happening right now.
That's exactly
didn't we see that we just buy what was the country? It was Poland. Was it Poland that we bought weapons back from, or some other country we bought weapons back from just to give them to Ukraine because we're so low on stockpiles? It's not even a joke. So the idea that Trump's going to go in there and be like, oh, well, I'll just tell him we're going to send more shit. That's just him
it's ridiculous.
Signaling to his Beltway bandit friends that their stock prices are going to continue to go up.
Well, that's why I really wanted to ask this question. I mean, for all the people who are let's be perfectly clear and honest. Are we actually looking at a lesser evil here? And pretty much every day I become more and more convinced that I think even if Trump was president, I think the war I think it still would have started. Maybe. But I don't think they could have. I think they knew the optics were bad of that. I think that's why they knew that was a bad look.
Personal tinfoil hat theory with especially what happened in 2020 with the jab rollout and everything is like, I think that stuff was probably supposed to happen
Operation
during
Warp
Hillary.
Speed, and then the libs want to deny
Yeah,
it.
like I
that
think
he's not,
I
like,
think all that stuff was supposed to happen during Hillary, and so like the way that things went down kind of went down the way that they weren't supposed
that's
to.
exactly what it. No, Trump basically just delayed all of the reaction.
Yeah, like I think we
Like
would have
2
been
years,
at war in
4
Ukraine
years.
like freaking like 3-4 years ago if Hillary had won. Like because with everything with Newland and fucking the Euromaidan, there's no real question in my head that like in the way that they were like ushering Hillary to like kind of prop her up as president, it just seems to me that we were escalating things in a way that had Hillary become president, like we would have had direct conflict with Russia at that point. Like I don't know. It just maybe that sounds like a tinfoil hat theory, but it just seems like everything got pushed back because of Trump. In terms of the war state, like going to war in Ukraine, maybe you could argue the pandemic, but like I'm not really trying to get there on YouTube. So.
I mean, didn't he try to fucking assassinate what's his name?
Well, he assassinated Soleimani.
Yeah, exactly.
Like fucking yeah. So like we fucking drone strike the guy who's responsible for getting freaking Taliban out of fucking Syria.
It was more drones
like,
than Obama. It was more drones
we
than
did.
Obama.
Like I'm the more I learn about Soleimani, the like it's crazy.
He tried to throw a coup in
much he did
Venezuela too.
Yeah, like the people who think that Trump did a solid and didn't like I know the argument, well, technically he didn't start any new wars, but you have to understand how he still participated in a lot of really negative ways with the war machine. During his time, he was still giving the Nazis weapons in Ukraine. He was still fucking killing Soleimani. He was still doing all this terrible shit. So like we need to fucking kind of make sure that we're looking through the right lens, understand that he's still part of the freaking like war machine, you know?
That was ultimately my point. Like that's like really like where it like stuck, because at the end of the day, Trump is gonna go back to his handlers, which is Mike Pompeo, Mike Pence, John Bolton,
exactly.
all these motherfuckers who've been in the fucking war industry for years. And what do you think they're gonna say? They're gonna say, no, Putin's a madman.
Time for China.
They're gonna say the same thing Jamal Bowman's saying, and that's the progressive. That's the progressive that we have. The progressive that we have is saying that Putin's a madman. What the fuck do you think the Republican Party is gonna say?
Yeah, exactly.
He's hanging out with Lindsey Graham at fucking who got booed. Like they know that he's.
Yeah, remember? Lindsey Graham the other day. He fucking said
like all these people are like disasters, and he's just playing off of that because he doesn't have a history.
It's a sad comment because I remember him saying like a month ago or so, he was like, I'd end the Ukraine war in 24 hours. He said that. And if his strategy is like, we're just going to like continue to supply Ukraine and do a war of attrition, that's not a solution. That's not negotiating. That's doing the exact same thing. And that's like, wow, like I gave Trump too much credit, even on that little thing. I tried to be like, maybe he was being a little bit better with the war machine on this position. Nope, it's the same exact
thing. And you don't like you kind of get the blinders on because again, he doesn't have that long history of corruption like John Bolton does. So,
right. But you said the good point with like everybody he brought into his cabinet, like fucking Pompeo and Bolton, that it was like destined to happen, that he was going to freaking just do everything that the war state wanted him to do.
Yeah. Again, I mean, it's about the administration. It's not just the president doesn't do anything. The president doesn't matter anyway. It doesn't even. It's stupid.
Not when it comes to stuff like the war.
Exactly.